Chapter 12. Neither can the floods drown it. Yella slept at the far end of the tent from the twins, but she heard them whispering, and when they stopped, she could hear the mammoth's triple snores, and she was wide awake. She slipped out of bed and went to the desert. She saw neither lion nor dragon/lizard masquerading as lion on the great rock. She chose a smaller rock and sat, wrapping her arms about her knees. She raised her face to the stars. She heard them chiming, and there was no anxiety in their song. Nevertheless, she shivered. She believed her father, believed that the rains were going to come. She was willing to die if that was truly what El wanted. But what about the twins? What was going to happen? The crystal chime of stars sang in her ears, "Fear not, Yalef." The stars never gave false comfort. She was less afraid. They worked at the ark all day, taking time out in the heat to sleep. Then they worked again until it was too dark to see. Every evening, nature prepared a festive meal. Therefore, Shem was often out hunting rather than busy with the ark. Sandy and Dennys worked along with Noah, Ham, and Japheth. There were no hammers or nails or any of the modern tools to which they were accustomed. The boards had to be joined and pegged. At night, they were tired and hungry, ate well, slept well. They were building an ark, but they did not talk of the rain. Dennys looked at Elisheba, Anna, and Oholibamah. They were in the story, even if not by name. They would go with Noah and Matron and all the animals onto the ark. He looked at Yalef, her hair amber in the lamplight. He slipped out of the tent, feeling a little strange. He was the follower, Sandy the leader. And now he was off without even consulting his twin. He walked swiftly toward Noah's well. His skin prickled as he saw the vulture huddled on the tall trunk of a long dead palm, then looked up as Dennys approached, peering this way and that, stretching its naked neck, staring at Dennys with hooded, suspicious eyes. At first, Dennys saw only the dark bird. Then his eye caught a glimpse of white, and on a young fig tree near the well sat a pelican, its head tucked under its wing, so that it seemed no more than a bundle of white. Dennys heaved a sigh of relief. He had left the big tent to find one of the seraphim, and it didn't really matter which one, but he was more familiar with Alarid than with many of the others. He went up to the sleeping bird. The pelican did not move. "Alarid," Dennys shouted, "I need to talk to you." The feathers quivered as the bird shoved its head farther under its wing. "Alarid!" The feathers ruffled, hunched, indicating, "Go away, I have nothing to say, but I have to speak to you about Yalef." At last, the head emerged from the fluff of feathers, and the dark bead of eyes blinked. "Please," Dennys indicated the vulture. "Please, Alarid." The white bird hopped down from its perch, clumsy and cumbersome. The vulture was an ink blob of immobile darkness. "Please," Dennys pleaded. The pelican stretched its wing up, until a seraph appeared. Without speaking, Alarid turned from the well and walked toward the desert. Dennys followed. When they had left the oasis far enough behind so that the vulture was no longer visible, Alarid turned to the boy. "What is it? You can't leave. You can't let Yelef drown in the flood. Why not? Yelef is good. I mean, she is really good." Alarid bowed his head. "Goodness has never been a guarantee of safety. But you can't let her drown. I have nothing to say in the matter." "I should have spoken to Ariel," Dennys said in frustration. "Ariel loves her. He is no more say than I." The seraph turned his head away. Dennys realized that he had hurt Alarid, but he plunged ahead. "You're seraphim. You have powers." "True, but as I told you, it is dangerous to change things. We do not meddle with the pattern." "But Yelef isn't in the pattern." Dennys' voice rose and cracked. "There's no Yelef in the story. Only Noah and his wife and his sons and their wives." Alarine's wings quivered slightly. So, since she isn't in the story, it won't change anything if you prevent her from being drowned in the flood. What do you want me to do? Alarine asked. You aren't going to be drowned, are you? Dennys demanded. You and the other seraphim? No. Then take her wherever it is you're going to escape the flood. We cannot do that, Alarine said sadly. Why not? We cannot. Again, the seraph turned his face away. Where are you going then? Alarine turned back to Dennys and smiled, but not in amusement. We go to the sun. No, Yeleth could not go to the sun, nor to the moon, which Dennys had been about to suggest. Yeleth could not live where there was no atmosphere, but surely there was something to be done. He made a strangled noise of outrage. We're not in the story either, Sandy and I, but we're here, and Yeleth is here. That is so. And if we drown, that is, if Sandy and I drown, that's going to change the story, isn't it? I mean, we're not going to be born in our own time, if we get drowned now, and even if that makes only a tiny difference, it will make a difference to our family. If Sandy and I don't get born, maybe Charles Wallace won't get born. Maybe Meg will be an only child. Who? Our older sister and our little brother. I mean, the story would be changed. Alarine said, you must go back to your own time. That's easier said than done. Anyhow, what I wanted to talk to you about is Yeleth. Listen, it's a stupid story. Only the males have names. It's a chauvinist story. I mean, Matred has a name. She's a mother. And Elishaba and Anna and Oholabama. They're real people with names. That is true, Alarine agreed. The Nephilim, Dennys went on, they're like whoever wrote the silly arc story, seeing things only from their own point of view, using people. They don't give a hoot for Tigla or Mala, for instance. They're just women, so they don't matter. They don't care if Yeleth gets drowned. But you ought to care. Alarine asked gently, do you think I don't care? Dennys sighed. Okay, I know you care. But are you just going to stand by and do nothing and then fly out to the sun? Again, Alarine's wings quivered. Part of doing something is listening. We are listening to the sun, to the stars, to the wind. Dennys felt chastened. He had not paused to listen, not for days. They don't tell you anything? To continue to listen. The breeze lifted, washed over Dennys in a wave of sadness. I don't like this story, he said. I don't like it at all. He left Alarine. Before he reached the oasis, he paused, sat on a small rock, tried to quiet himself so that he could listen to the wind. How could he unscramble the words of the wind which came to him in overlapping wavelets? He closed his eyes. Vision stars exploding into life. Planets being birthed. Yeleth had spoken of the violence of Mala's baby's birth. The birth of planets was no gentler. Violent swirlings of winds and waters. Land masses as fluid as water. Volcanoes spouting flames so high that it seemed to be the outward flaming of the sun. The earth was still in the process of being created. The stability of rocks was no more than an illusion. Earthquake, hurricane, volcano, flood, all part of the continuing creation of the cosmos, groaning in travail. The song of the wind softened, gentled. Behind the violence of the birthing of galaxies and stars and planets came a quiet and tender melody, a gentle love song. All the raging of creation, the continuing hydrogen explosions on the countless suns, the heaving of planetary bodies, all was enfolded in a patient, waiting love. Dennys opened his eyes and the wind dropped with silence. He raised his face to the stars, and their light fell against his cheeks like dew. They chimed at him softly. Do not seek to comprehend. All shall be well. Wait. Patience. Wait. You do not always have to do something. Wait. Dennys put his head down on his knees, and a strange quiet flowed through him. Above his head, the white wings of a pelican beat gently through the flowing streams of stars. Work of the ark progressed slowly. In the heat of the sun, his body glistening with sweat, Dennys found it hard to remember his vision of understanding and hope. But it was still there, waiting for him, surfacing during the afternoon's rest time, or at night when the sun set and the stars blossomed. Hammer, peg, measure for stress. Noah insisted on following exactly the directions which were given him. Miss L, Sammy said to Dennis, I don't understand. L knows about shipbuilding, Dennis said. The instructions and measurements are pretty much the basic proportions for modern ships. The ark's not designed for speed, but Ben, that's not the purpose. All those animals, Noah's surely going to have to shovel out a load of manure. I bet nobody around here has ever seen a boat this big. Maybe they've never even seen a boat. Sandy sought out Yalef, feeling a little disloyal to be going to find her without Dennis, but going nevertheless. Dennis had vetoed it when Sandy had just suggested taking Yalef with them. He waited for her, not far from the tent holes, in the quiet that precedes dawn, saw her coming, pale and wraith-like, from the direction of the desert. Yalef! She stopped, startled, head up. Yalef, it's Sandy. Oh, Twin Sand. Relief was in her voice. What is it? He took her hand. Yalef, what are you going to do? When the floods come. She spoke in a low voice. We don't know for sure that the floods are going to come. It is only what my father says. Yes, but what do you think? Do you believe your father? She was barely audible. Yes? Then what are you going to do? Nothing. This has already given my father and mother much grief. My mother doesn't understand why Elle has not called me to be in this ark with the others. I don't understand it either, Sandy said flatly. But the stars have told me not to be afraid. And you believe the stars? Yes. Well, somebody's wrong, either your father or the stars. I trust my father, and I trust the stars. Well, somebody has to do something. I mean, we can't just sit back and let you get drowned. Would you consider coming home with us? She looked at him, startled. But where's your home? Is it on the other side of the mountains? On the other side of time, Sandy said. Her fingers tightened in his. You and the den are leaving? She answered her own question. Of course. You have to. As soon as the ark is built, as soon as the rains start. Will you come with us? With you both? Well, yes. He would love to go off to the end of the world alone with Yalef, but he knew that he would not try to leave her world without Dennis. Is it many days of travel? We got here sort of instantaneously. I have an idea how we might be able to get home, but first I want to know if you'll come with us. Oh, Twin Sand, she sighed long and deeply. Everything is so strange. Ever since you came, nothing has been the same. Grandfather Lamech is dead. The ark is being built. I don't want to drown, but is it very different where you come from? Sandy acknowledged. Very different. It isn't nearly as hot, and we have lots of water so that we can take showers and drink as much as we want. What I wouldn't give for a long glass of cold water when we're hammering away on the ark. And we wear different kinds of clothes. He looked at Yella's small and perfect body, barely covered by the loincloth, her breasts delicate and rosy, and had a moment's absurd vision of her at one of the classrooms at the regional high school. But wouldn't anything be better than drowning? You'll consider it, won't you? Coming with us? She was solemn. Of course. It is very hard for me to imagine what it would be like without you and the den. You are part of me, both of you. Sammy slipped back into the tent. Dennis was awake, waiting for him. Where have you been? I asked Yella to come home with us. There was a heavy silence. At last Dennis said, No, Sandy, we can't take her back with us. I mean, even if we could, we can't. Why not? She doesn't have any immunities. Haven't you noticed there aren't any diseases here? Don't you remember that all the natives at the bottom part of South America got killed by German measles because they didn't have any immunities? Couldn't we give her vaccinations? Not for everything. And if she caught a cold, an ordinary head cold, it would probably kill her. She doesn't have any protective antibodies. She couldn't adjust to our climate. It's too cold, too damp. It would be murder to try to take her back with us. Then what's going to happen? I don't know. If she stays here, she'll drown. Wouldn't it be worth the risk to try to take her home with us? Dennis shook his head. How do you think she'd get out with the kids at school? She wouldn't have to go to school. She's nearly 100 years old, and she doesn't look any older than we do. How would we prove her age to the school authorities? And if she is 100 years old and we bring her back to our time, what would happen? Would she shrivel all up and be ancient and die of old age? Why are you thinking of all the bad things that could happen? We have to think of them. If we love Yalith, maybe it would be all right. And maybe it wouldn't. Maybe what we should do is stay here with Yalith and wait for the flood. I'm not willing to give up that easily. It's not easily, but we have to do something. Maybe for once we don't, Dennis thought. There's time yet, he said. Maybe something will come to us, but it will have to be something real. Hey, Sammy said, I'm not sure anymore what's real and what isn't. I mean, Nephilim and Seraphim. I believe it a lot more than I used to, Dennis said. Even if we're not supposed to change the story, we're changed, you and I. We are. And what about Yalith? Wait, Dennis said. He did not tell Sandy about his talk with Alarin, or what the wind had shown him, or that the stars had told him to have patience and wait. The new moon was once again a crescent in the sky, ripened, filled out to a sphere. Dwindled and diminished, was born again. Noah sent Japheth and Oholibamah to warn the people of the oasis of the impending flood. Ham asked, what's the point? They all know you're building this big boat. They all know you're expecting rain out of season. Noah was stubborn. They have a right to be warned, to prepare. And who knows, if they repent, that perhaps El will not send the flood. If there's no flood, Ham said, people will laugh at us even more than they're laughing now. Anah looked troubled. I do not think the people of my tent will repent. They are very angry. Noah said, they must be given a chance. When Japheth and Oholibamah returned from their trip about the oasis, they had been laughed at, spat at. Japheth had an ugly bruise on his cheek where an angrily thrown stone had hit him. Even Noah and Matron's older daughters and their husbands had met them with scorn. They laughed at Japheth's earnest warning and complained of being made to look like fools because of Noah's folly. Sierra had thrown a bowl of mash at them and screamed at Oholibamah to leave her alone. And don't you come near my babies, you Nephil woman. Japheth had put his arm protectingly about his wife and taken her away. Hoglah's husband had threatened to strangle them if they kept on spreading stories of flood and doom throughout the oasis. It reflects on us, he said. Don't you see how you're making us look at this idiocy? Can't you just keep quiet about Noah's delusions? Japheth and Oholibamah left the oasis to go home by the desert. Oholibamah began weeping, strangely, quietly. Japheth stopped, putting his arms around her. My wife, what is it? Oholibamah struggled to stifle her silent tears, said, if it is all true, what El has told your father, if there is to be a great flood, then our baby will be born after. She choked at her tears. Japheth's face lit with delight. Oholibamah leaned her head against his strong shoulder. Our baby, Japheth. Suddenly, her tears turned to laughter. Our baby. The result of the attempt to warn the people of the oasis was that now they gathered about the perimeter of Noah's land. The desert wind rose hotly. Noah's eyes were fixed on the ark. He tried to ignore the catcalls and hoots of the mob. Grimly, Matron heated wine to the boiling point. I prefer to use it on manticores, but if they try to hurt my husband, I will make them sorry. Ham slunk into the tent. What are you doing here? His mother demanded. I'm tired of being laughed at. Matron spoke fiercely. You go right back out and help your father. He's insane. Whatever he is, it's your place to be with him and with your wife. She's not too proud to work and carrying your child too. Matron smiled. There would be 3 babies coming. She brimmed with joy. Can't you stop him, Mother? He's a wild man, his eyes blazing, his beard whipped by the wind, Can't you speak to him? I have spoken, Matron said. Go out to him, now. Reluctantly, Han went out into the glaring sunlight, the burning wind. The muttering, jeering crowd was larger as the people of the oasis gathered to stare. Noah's hands were black with the pitch with which he was coating the ark. A stone was thrown. It missed its mark and glanced harmlessly against the dark wood. Sandy and Dennys left the ark and walked with deliberate steps toward the mob of little people. Dennys did not put down the plank he was standing. Sandy still held the stone he used for a hammer. Neither boy threatened in any way. Nevertheless, the people drew back slightly. Sandy spoke in a commanding voice. No stone throwing. Dennys stood as tall as possible, looming over the small men in the foreground of the crowd. Go home. Back to your tents. Now. His voice was a deep man's voice. There were advantages in being taken for giants. Slowly, the crowd dispersed. Yellow sat on her favorite starlit rock, huddled over as though for warmth. She was not aware that Oholabama had joined her until the other woman put her arm about Yellow's shoulders. Tears spread to Yellow's eyes. Twin Sam and Twin Den, her voice trailed off. Oholabama finished for her. As soon as the ark is built, they will have to leave, to go to wherever it is they came from. Yellow choked down a sob. Twin Stan has asked me to go with them. Oholabama drew back in surprise, said, It is a solution I have not thought of. Then, what do you think? Oholabama looked at the sky, intently listening. Then she shook her head. Yellow, too, looked heavenward. The stars had never told me wrong. Oholabama spoke thoughtfully. I do not know why it is not the right solution for you to go with our twins. I know only that I hear the stars, and I agree. There is something here that we do not understand, but do you hear the stars? They are telling you not to be afraid. A soft wind brushed past their cheeks, murmuring, fear not, the pattern will be perfected. I wish, Yellow whispered, I wish Grandfather Lamech was still alive. I wish that El had not told my father to build an ark, or that the rains were going to come. And our twins? Tears slid down Yellow's cheeks. I cannot wish that they had never come to us, or that I had not become a woman. Oholabama held Yellow, rocking her like a child. I, too, am afraid, little sister. I am carrying my Japheth child, and I am afraid for the future. I am afraid of the terrible flood and all the death and anguish it will bring. Sometimes I am even afraid of Noah. He seems so wild, but I trust Japheth. I trust the stars. I trust El. I trust that all this will be for good. As the stars slid slowly toward the horizon, the sky paled, flushed with soft colors. A burst of joyous bird song filled the air around them, and the baboons began to clap their hands. The ark was nearly finished. The twins talked at night in the tent, whispering in the dark. During the day, they were never alone, and not everybody slept at the same time in the afternoon. We haven't seen any of the seraphim, Sandy said. Not for days. Nor the Nephilim, Dennys added. I just as soon not see the Nephilim, particularly Rophikel. Dennys said, every once in a while I think I see one, or at any rate, when I see an ant or a worm, I get flickers of color behind my eyes, reds and oranges and blues and purples, but they don't materialize. I need to see one of the seraphim, Sandy said. I need to see Adnarel. I thought maybe the scarab beetle would come with Higayon, but I haven't seen him. Dennys said thoughtfully, I don't think it means that he stayed at Grandfather Lamech's. The only time I stayed at Seraph when there were a lot of people around was when Grandfather was buried and they all came. Otherwise, it's been only when there are one or two people. And what with building the ark and staying in Noah's tent, we're always with the gang. Maybe somehow we should slip away for a little while tomorrow and go out to the desert, just the two of us. Good thinking, Sandy said, but why wait for tomorrow? We don't want to go in the heat of the day, and we'd be missed any other time. Noah and Matron are always checking on us. They're afraid one of us might be kidnapped again. So why not go now? Right now? Why not? We're both awake. Let's go. Don't wake Higayan or Sela or shh. They slipped out quietly. But not so quietly that Yalef did not hear them. She felt a vague disquiet, rose from her sleeping skins and followed them. They come. This is what we've been waiting for. At last. The Nephilim slid out of their animal host, raising wings turned dark by night so that the stars were hidden. The little mammoth woke with a jerk from a dream of being beaten by Tigla's brother, nudged Sela, who nudged Higayan, who reached toward the twins and felt only sleeping skins. Snorting in alarm, he padded across the tent towards Yellow's sleeping skins. She, too, was gone. He glanced toward Noah and Matred, both sleeping quietly. Sela trumpeted softly so that only the mammoths heard and pointed her trunk toward Higayan's ear. The scarab beetle was there, a small bright jewel against the gray ear flap. What should we do? Higayan's eyes queried, cocked his head as though listening. They gestured to the other two mammoths with his trunk, and they followed him as he hurried out of the tent and ran toward the desert. The twins were nearly surrounded before they realized what was happening. The circle of Nephilim was closing in on them, slowly, deliberately. The sharp odor of stone and coal filled their nostrils. Sandy felt as though a hand was pressing hard on his chest. He shouted at Dennys, "Quick!" and flung himself out of the not quite closed circle. Dennys followed, pushing through purple dark waves that nearly stifled him. Run! The twins' reflexes were swift, but the Nephilim were swifter. Again the circle started to form around them, and it was as though the breath was being squeezed out of them. Sandy ran, head down, like a battering ram between Rofakil and Ugil. Dennys rammed Eblis. But the twins were only two, and the Nephilim were many, and sure enough, their powers to proceed with deliberation and without haste. In their rush to get free of the circle, the twins had run in the opposite direction from the oasis. Now they were too far away to think of making a dash back to Noah's tent hole. The circle of Nephilim drew closer. Yella saw. "Ariel!" she screamed. "Ariel!" The golden lion bounded across the sand past Yalef until it was between two of the Nephilim, keeping the circle from closing completely. Came a strange pounding, and then Admael, the camel, galloped white as moonlight across the desert and inserting himself into the circle. A flutter of wings overhead became visible as a pelican, diving down, broke the circle again. And three small gray bodies hurled into the circle, blowing sand and water into the faces of the Nephilim, who burst out of their formation in a rush of brilliant wings. The lion, camel, pelican, with an upward leaping of light, became the radiant beauty of Seraphim. Sandy and Dennys ran to them, ran faster than they had ever run before. Alaric caught Sandy, and Admiral held Dennys. The Nephilim sprang angrily into the sky, saw Yalef. "Her!" Eblis cried. "I want her!" But Ariel reached her before the Nephil. Swift as Eblis was, the Seraph was swifter. He enfolded Yalef in gilded wings. The three mammoths, trumpeting joyfully, bounded around them. Bronze flashed against Higayan's ear, and then Admiral stood before them. "Go!" he commanded the Nephilim in a bulging voice. "You have no right to take them from us," Nama said, "and you have no right to them whatsoever." Admiral was fierce. "Go!" From the four corners of the desert, the other seraphim came to stand with Admiral, Alarid, Admael, and Ariel. Then Urtrell, whose host was the rat, whined, "Tell us what is about to happen." "Do you not know?" Alarid asked. "I assume," Ugil hissed, "that since Noah is building a boat, he must be planning to find some water." "Your assumption is correct." Admiral had his arm lightly across Dennis's shoulder. "And then what?" Nama asked. "Rain," Alarid said. "Much rain." The seraph raised his hand skyward, seeming to touch a bright star. A flash of lightning split the sky, bolted to earth with a great crash of thunder. "Now," Alarid ordered the Nephilim. As the Nephilim slipped, one by one, into their animal host, Sandy felt a drop of rain. The seraphim gravely led the twins and Yellow deeper into the desert, not explaining where they were going. Sandy started to ask, where? But closed his mouth. When they reached a single monolith of silvery rock, the seraphim encircled it. Ariel drew Yellow into the center of the circle. Admiral took Sandy by the hand, and Admiral reached for Dennys, so that they were part of the circle around the monolith. Ariel and Yalith, who looked at the seraph questioningly but without fear. Alaris said, Yalith, child, you did not know your great-great-grandfather Enoch. Mutely, she shook her head. But you know of him? Ariel asked. I know that he did not die like ordinary men. He walked with El, and then, according to Grandfather Lamech, he was not. That is, he was not with the people of the oasis. He was with El. With a rush of hope, Sandy remembered his conversation with Noah and Grandfather Lamech and the recounting of the strange happening. Ariel smiled down on Yalith. Alice told us to bring you, and in the same way. She shrank back. I don't understand. Dennys moved as though to go to her, but Hygieia nudged him to stay still. Ariel said, There's no need to understand, little one. I will take you, and it will be all right. Do not fear. She looked very small, very young. She asked timidly, Will it hurt? No, little one. I think you'll find it a rapturous experience. She looked up at him trustingly. Enoch, your forebear will explain everything you need to know. Admiral's fingers held Sandy back. You will tell Noah and Matron? I will tell them, Sandy said. I think they'll be very happy. Dennys, who had not heard the extraordinary story of Enoch, looked confused but hopeful. If Ariel was taking Yellow somewhere, she would not be drowned after all. The seraphim were to be trusted. He was certain of that. Ariel would not take Yellow to the sun or to the moon or anywhere that was not possible for her with her husband's human limitations. Ariel said, It is time. Yellow remembered the words Ariel had said to her when she had gone out to the desert in the heat of the day. Many waters cannot quench love, she whispered. Neither can the floods drown it. Oh, twins, dear twins, I love you. Sandy and Dennys spoke together, their voices cracking. Yalith, oh Yalith, I love you. Will you go back now to where you came from? The twins glanced at each other. We will try, Sandy said. We think the seraphim will help us, Dennys added. If we had been older, Sandy started. Dennys laughed. If we had been older, it would have been very complicated, wouldn't it? Yalith too laughed. Oh, I love you both. I love you both. Ariel urged gently, Come, Yalith. I can't say goodbye to my parents, to Japheth and Alabama. It is best this way, Ariel said, without goodbyes as it was for your forebear Enoch. Yellow nodded, then reached up to Sandy and kissed him on the lips. Then Dennys, full long kisses. Ariel wrapped her in his creamy wings, glittering with gold at their tips. But he held her only with his arms, lifted and spread the wings, beat with them softly, and then rose into the air, up, up. They watched until all they saw was a speck of light in the sky, as though from a new star. Sandy spoke to Noah. Do you remember the night when you and Grandfather Lamech were talking and I was there? I remember, Noah said. And Grandfather Lamech talked about dying. I remember. And about his grandfather Enoch, who walked with El, and then he was not, for El took him. I remember that too. Why? Yellow is not. What are you saying? Noah's eyes widened. Matron put her hand to her mouth, focusing intently. Sandy continued. Ariel, the seraph who loves Yalith, said that she was to be taken up like her forebear Enoch. And he held her and flew straight up into the sky. We watched. Dennys nodded. A light of great joy came into Noah's eyes. Matron burst into tears. I felt a drop of rain, Sandy said. Noah turned away. The ark will be finished tomorrow. That night, the twins sat outside the big tent. The three mammoths curled up together near them. The rest of the family was within, asleep, except for Yalith. Yalith's sleeping skins had been folded and put away. I didn't have a chance to talk with Admiral about getting home, Sandy said, but Yalith is all right. At the moment, that's all that matters. A drop of rain fell on Dennys' nose. The rain The rain is beginning. Sandy reached down to pet Higayon, who was pressing against his feet. What was it that she said about many waters? Many waters cannot quench love. I think that's what she said. Higayon reached out with his trunk to touch Sandy's arm. It's time for us to be going home, Higgy. I have to speak to Admiral. Higayon reached with his trunk to touch his ear. The scarab beetle was not there. Another drop of rain fell. It was a quiet beginning rain with occasional droplets, no thunder or lightning. Sandy asked the sky, is God really doing this, causing a flood to wipe everybody out? Dennys raised his face to the sky. The stars were not visible, hidden by thick veils of clouds, but it seemed that he could still hear them their chiming, dim but reassuring. Whenever there's an earthquake or a terrible fire or a typhoon or whatever, everybody gets it. Good people get killed as well as bad. Sandy was wriggling his toes against Higayon's shaggy gray flank. Well, everybody dies sooner or later. Even stars die, Dennys added. I don't like entropy, Sandy said. The universe winding down. I don't think it is winding down, Dennys contradicted. I think it's still being birthed. Even the flood is part of the birthing. I don't understand. Sandy's voice was flat. Everybody knows that entropy. Everybody doesn't, and entropy is in question anyhow. Remember, we had that in science last year. There's no such thing as an unbreakable scientific rule because, sooner or later, they all seem to get broken or to change. Grandfather L'Engle said that these are last days. The occasional slow drops of rain made Sandy on edge and argumentative. Another splash of rain touched Dennys' face, muting the stars. There have been many times of last days, he said, and they mark not only endings but beginnings. Is there a pattern to it all? Sandy demanded. Or is it all chaos and chance? What do you think? Dennys asked. Sela had come to lie beside Higayon, and Sandy reached to scratch her with the toes of his other foot. Did we come here to Yelif, to Noah, by chance? Dennys wiped his face with the palm of his hand. No, I don't think so. Sandy said, the ark is finished. Yelif is with Grandfather Enoch, and perhaps with Grandfather Lamech. What was it Grandfather said? We know little about such things. There was a radiance in the air, and Admiral stood before them. Oh, Admiral, Sandy leapt up. I need to talk to you about particle physics and quantum leaps. Admiral sat beside them, listening. So, Sandy concluded, if you could go to our time and place and call the unicorn to you there, you could tesser us home. It does not sound impossible, Admiral said. It is consistent with our knowledge of energy and matter. I will talk with the other seraphim. As he turned to go, he said, do not stray far from the tent. The Nephilim, Dennys agreed. Then, in a louder voice, we will not stray. It is just that somehow we are not sleeping. Admiral paused. Your love for Yelif and hers for you is, and therefore it always will be. And then he was gone. They smelled Tegla before they saw her. Quickly they sprang to their feet and ran to the tent flap, which was half open. Oh, don't go! Please don't go! Tegla cried. I'm alone, I promise you. Tegla's promises meant little. They stood warily by the tent flap, watching her as she approached. But there was nobody with her, neither father and brother nor Nephilim. It's starting to rain, she said. We never have rain except in the spring. Did Noah really build this big boat because he thinks there's going to be more rain than we've ever seen before? Sandy nodded. Anna is my sister. Will there be room for me on the ark? There's not room for Sandy and me, Dennys said. Then what are you going to do? We're not sure. Sandy was cautious. We hope to go home. I don't like this rain, Tegla snapped. It's cold and wet. Rofakel will take care of you, Sandy said. Oh, he will, won't he? I better go find him. It's very nice to have known you. Thanks for nothing, Sandy said rudely. Ditto, Dennys echoed. You're not blaming me for my father and brother, are you? Perhaps not for your father and brother, Sandy said, but for doing whatever Rofakel tells you, yes. So go to him, Dennys urged, although he did not have much faith the Nephilim cared enough about any human being to be willing to help unless it was convenient. I still think it's nice to have known you, Tigla said. I wish I could have known you better. I mean, really known you. Sorry, Tigla, Sandy said. You're a great deal older and a great deal more experienced than we are. I could teach you. No, Tigla, the timing isn't right. Goodbye then, she said. Goodbye, the twins echoed. Japheth came to them. I'm worried about you. Sandy was still looking after Tigla's retreating form. Don't worry, Jay. We'll be all right. How? Japheth demanded. You know we can't take you in the ark. We know, Dennis agreed. He looked up at the clouds, which occasionally let a drop of rain fall, trying to listen for the hidden stars. Can you get home? Japheth asked. To wherever you came from? He too looked at the sky, shook his head as though baffled by silence. We're going to try, Sandy said. Don't worry about us. You have enough to do, collecting all the animals and food and fodder and grain and everything. Japheth nodded. Perhaps what? Sandy asked. Japheth rubbed his broad hand across his face, wiping away tears. Oh, twins! He rushed at them, and they flung their arms about him, and the three of them rocked back and forth, holding one another. Oholabama went, just before dawn, to Mala's low white dwelling. Mala was alone, nursing the baby. It was indeed a large baby, drinking greedily, and Mala looked pale and fragile, but she crooned over the child while she fed it. She looked up at Oholabama and smiled and welcomed. It's good to see you, Oholi. Come in. Oholabama stood looking down at Mala and the child. Is Ugil good to you? He is very good. There was deep love in Mala's shadowed eyes. You're happy with him? Truly happy, as I am with Japheth? Truly happy. Though Ugil is Ugil and Japheth is Japheth. He doesn't even hurt you? Never. He takes care of you? Very good care, and he loves her baby. Good, Oholabama said. That's all I wanted to know. And she left Mala and went back to the tent she shared with Japheth. The seraphim were gathered together as dawn suffused the desert with a soft pearly light. The clouds were thickening, and in the trees the birds sang more softly than usual, and the baboon's chatter was muted. It does look possible, I think, Admiral said. Alara nodded. We are not bound to this place and time. Two of us should go to the twins' world and call them back. Admiral asked, does it really need to be unicorns? I would feel safer if I could carry them. Admiral's eyes widened for a moment, then nearly closed in thought. I do not think they could take the transition from matter to energy and then back again to matter. Even we find it tiring. But what about the unicorns? Adna Chill, sometimes a giraffe, asked. What happens when they go out? Admiral said, they are only when they are here, or when they are there, but not in between. It is not quite the same thing as a transfer of matter and energy. Alara nodded. They have to be observed in order to be believed in. Adna Chill agreed. It is a long distance, Admiral said, both in time and space. It is a risk, Admiral agreed, but one I think we must take. Why are they here at all? Asked Aksa with wings the same soft gray as his mouse fur. Do you think Al sent them? Admiral suggested. Admiral spoke softly. I do not think Al sent them, but neither did Al prevent their coming. Are they part of the pattern? Admiral asked. Is it right and proper for them to be here? Alara looked up at the veiled sky. Perhaps Ariel will have word when he returns from taking Yella to the presence. But I think, yes, that they are part of the pattern. The pattern is not set, Admiral said. It is fluid and constantly changing. But it will be worked out in beauty in the end, Admiral affirmed. Then you agree? Admiral asked. We will try to help them to return to their own time and place in the way in which they have suggested. We agree, affirmed the seraphim. The air lightened slightly as the hidden sun lifted above the horizon. There was a faint spattering of applause from the baboons, who were confused by the clouds and the occasional drops of rain. Despite the clouds which obscured the light of the last dim stars, the seraphim's ears were attuned to the song, although it was far away. Let us sing with them, Alara suggested. And the singing of the seraphim joined with the singing of the hidden stars and the call of the invisible sun. Sandy and Dennys slept fitfully. The rain had not really begun in earnest, but there was an occasional patter on the roof skins as a drop fell here, there. The three mammoths were curled into a ball at the foot of the twin sleeping skins. The morning songs of the oasis were softer than usual, but both boys roused from sleep and looked at each other, nodded. Quietly, they dressed in their clothes from home. Dennys was without the garments he had discarded after the garbage pit, but he pulled on his sweater and his lined jeans, feeling strange and constrained in clothes. The twins had become used to the freedom of being naked except for loincloths. The winter clothes were hampering as well as hot. They were careful not to disturb the sleeping mammoths. They looked across the tent where Noah and Matron were still asleep, to the place which had been jealous and which was now empty. Then they tiptoed out. Admiral was waiting for them. It's best without goodbyes, Dennys asked. But you will say goodbye for us and to Oholabama and Japheth and the others? We will say goodbye, Admiral said, and looked toward the clump of palms and palmettos. Admiral and Alaric came out of the shadows and moved toward them, followed by Ariel, who had returned from his journey with Yalith. Now, Admiral said, we will call the unicorns. One more thing, Sammy held back. You will take care of the mammoths? We will take care of them. Unicorns! With a glimmer of silver, two unicorns solidified before them. Now, Admiral said, the two boys mounted the unicorns, sitting astride the silver backs, bathed in light from the horns. We leave you now, Admiral said. Admiral and I. When we are in your time and place, we will call for the unicorns and for you. You'll recognize it when you get there? Sammy asked anxiously. You have given us very good parameters. Alaric and Ariel each stood by one of the unicorns. When a drop of rain touched the light of their brilliant horns, it hissed slightly. The unicorns crossed the oasis and moved onto the desert, Alaric and Ariel running along with them. When they reached Ariel's great rock, the two seraphim stopped and looked at the unicorns, then at the twins. Are you ready? Alaric asked. Ready, Dennys said. Ariel slapped the two silver rumps, and the unicorns took off across white sand and rock. In his golden voice, he cried, Unicorns, go home! Dennys felt a wave of sleep wash over him as the rain and the unicorns quickened. Sandy, too, felt his mind softly closing. The rain was a curtain of silver. Sandy murmured. Dennys started. The unicorns and the twins flickered like candles and went out. Two unicorns in an old stone lab connected to a white clapboard farmhouse were a strange sight. So were two tall, bright-winged seraphim. The twins looked around. Aside from the unicorns and the seraphim, everything was as usual. Wood still burned brightly in the stove. The smell of stew, of Boeuf bourguignon was fragrant over the Bunsen burner. The odd-looking computer was where it had been when they pushed into it. Admiral was sitting in their mother's reading chair, his golden wings drooping behind it. Admiral was peering into one of her complex microscopes, hunching his pale blue wings. Do you believe in unicorns? Admiral's azure eyes were smiling. How is the ride? Admiral, too, smiled, though both seraphim seemed very relieved. The outside door banged. Admiral rose swiftly from the chair. Admiral turned from the microscope. The twins stiffened. Their mother's voice called, Twins, are you home? Oh, Sandy said. We better get the unicorns out of here. They'll go as soon as they are believed in, Admiral said. Dennys exclaimed, but Megan Charles Wallace believe in unicorns, Admiral asked, and in seraphim? And we're not supposed to be in the lab anyhow, with the experiment in progress. Sandy looked anxiously at Admiral. Never fear, the seraph said. You're all right? Until Mother finds us in here, Dennys added, looking the way we do, all sunburned. Compared with some of your other problems, Admiral started. Their mother's voice called out again. Twins, where are you? No farewells, Admiral said. He glanced at Admiral, then put both strong, long hands on Dennys's head. Admiral followed suit with Sandy. Both boys felt, rather than a sense of pressure, a sense of the tops of their heads lifting, almost as the animal host lifted to become seraphim, and then each twin was staring at a normal winter twin, skins not darkened by the desert sun, hair not bleached almost white. Sandy glanced briefly at Dennis's still bare feet, started to speak, but stopped as Admiral held up his hand. Many waters, but Seraph reached out and clasped a unicorn horn. The light from the horn flooded back into the Seraph's hand, through his body, his wings, until he was streaming with light. Admiral, too, was filled with flowing light. Cannot quench, he seemed to be saying. Light blazed fiercely, blinding the twins. Then the brilliance faded. Unicorns and seraphim were gone. Brown-haired, winter-skinned twins stared at each other. Mrs. Murry opened the door to the lab. Behind her, Meg and Charles Wallace peered in curiously. Sandy, Dennys, what are you doing here? Didn't you see the sign on the door? She sounded extremely displeased. We didn't actually see it, Sandy started. We just came to get some... We just came to get the Dutch cocoa, Sammy explained. Look, Meg said, it's out here on the floor by the kitchen door. Lucky it didn't spill. We were just going to make some, Sammy said. Shall we make enough for you three? Please, the mother said. It's turning bitter cold. But Sandy, Dennys, I beg you, don't go into the lab when you're asked not to. I hope you didn't touch anything you shouldn't have. Sandy said slowly, it all depends, but I don't think we touch anything we shouldn't have, do you, Dennys? Under the circumstances, no, Dennys said. Why are your feet bare, Den? Charles Wallace asked. Good heavens! Mrs. Murry exclaimed. Put something on your feet this second, Dennis Murry, before you catch cold. Meg opened the kitchen door, and there was a familiar odor of fresh bread, apples baking in the oven, and warmth and brightness, and all the reassurance of home. As they followed the others in, Sandy whispered to Dennys, I'm very glad the kitchen is all here, but you know what? I'm homesick. We probably always will be a little, Dennys agreed. Well, Sandy straightened up. As soon as we have our birthdays, we can get our driver's licenses. And about time, Dennys said. Now, let's make that cocoa.